Achintya Mangla is the global head of ECM at JPMorgan and joins us now ahead of the annual JPMorgan annual Techstars conference in London. Achintya, thank you so much for the time. How likely then is it that Porsche IPO could at some stage sort of spur the market, even if it is just a little bit, to get back into IPOs? Or is this sense of instability just too much for the market to handle?
Well, good morning, and thank you for having us, and thank you for helping us kick off our inaugural Techstars Leadership Forum. I think, look, the Porsche IPO was one of a kind. It is an amazing asset, an amazing IPO with a brand and an equity story which really is unparalleled. I think given the uncertainties that exist today, the volatility that exists in both the geopolitical arena as well as economically, I think the IPO market activity will remain subdued for a while. We have to prepare for a few quarters possibly of very subdued IPO activity.
Yeah, being in that ECM business as well, then that gets a whole lot tougher at a time like this. I mean, how do you look to sort of spearhead, and how do you find different avenues then to move forward when it is such a pressed market to move forward on?
No, I think it's a great question. Look, I think two things. One, while for the large listed companies, there are quite a few strategic decisions to take. And yes, capital is expensive, cost of equity is high, but nevertheless, it remains an important tool in the kit. You know, there could be companies who need to do carve-outs. There are companies who need to do liability management. And equity, for some, will remain an option to move ahead, to be on the defensive side, or indeed to pursue further. But really, second is exactly why we are here at the Technology Leadership Forum. We do believe that in the years to come, irrespective of the current valuation framework, what is undisputable is that technology and innovation are indispensable. And we think the companies coming out of this crisis in the technology area will actually be stronger, more sustainable, with profitable growth. And what we are really doing is spending a lot of time with our clients in the energy space, clean energy, healthcare, and tech, which for us are structurally areas of growth where companies will come out much stronger on the other side.
Interesting to hear you break it down by sector like that. We've talked a lot about volumes drying up this year, but also there's been a massive re-rating in terms of valuations too. Is it your expectation that we may ever go back and revisit some of the lofty valuations that we saw in 2021, the beginning of this year, before that massive repricing, or are those days long gone now, given where interest rates are?
I fear it's the latter. I don't foresee those valuations coming back again. The reality was what we saw in the last couple of years was a combination of very low cost of capital, valuing future cash flows at very, very high levels, and euphoria over a very accelerated digitalization of the world. I think going forward, valuations will pick up, hopefully at some point, but we will not test new highs. And that's all right, because what matters most is really more sustainable models over the long term.
Well, we talked about the exception of the Porsche listing, and in many ways it is an exception because it's performed very well, actually surpassing its parent company in terms of market cap. But in general, the mood is one of hesitancy to bring new deals to the market, to IPO. What conditions do you think need to be prevalent in order for this activity to come back again?
I think stability is the key word, and on two fronts. The world does need to see some evidence of peak inflation, peak rates, and having that certainty is going to be important for investors to put risk on the table. And I think on the second element is geopolitics. Hopefully the war at some point will abate. And I think in addition to the war, people are also looking at China quite closely and whether after the National Congress it gradually opens up. So I think you really need some stability on both those fronts for the IPO market to pick up and investors to start putting risk on the table again.
Achintya, thank you so much for the time. Really an interesting space. I think certainly one to look out for with those valuations said to certainly be quite interesting as well. And good luck with that JPMorgan Techstars as well.
Thank you for having us.
Achintya Mangla is the global head of ECM then at JPMorgan.